There it is. The Naturalite box. Now what's inside this Naturalite box? Well, you know, when I got over there, me and Eric, these two other dudes showed up, and they wanted to go party. And they were drinking beer. It was like 10 o'clock already in the morning. I guess they thought I was some kind of raging alcoholic, and so they just wanted to put my ass under by out fronting me, you know. And so we went to like this place called the Wing Doctor. Where is it at? So we're in Bristol. So here, Wing Doctor. It was a really cool place. It looked like an old Pizza Hut.
Document. See a good video.
It's gonna be a good video. Yeah, lunch was like $100. I bought a picture. We both downed like, I want to say almost, was it 100 or 50 wings? You know. So I just started collecting the wings, and I told them to go ahead and just keep it. I'm gonna try to sell them. I'm gonna try to make a piece with it. You know, like kind of like Karim it. Ooh, that's not very attractive. These things have been really rode hard and put up wet. So it's got Todd, Eric's. Ooh, these things really got a lot of fungus on them. It's like Todd, Eric, and Chuck. We all sit there and downed all these wings, you know. And so it's just fungus. That's all. This is all it is. It's just fungus. It's no big deal. That's a lot of fungus right there. So there you go. Getting fucked up by about 3. And I was just pacing myself. I figured we'd be up real late doing shit, you know, and I just didn't. What's the point? You know, I want to see what goes on in night's activity. I can only really drink about max 6 hours. If I have to have some really exciting shit going on for me to maintain a beer buzz that goes, you know, for a real long time. So I think we had, what did we have? 2 pitchers. What was the beer count? They had some beers. We had 2 pitchers. Then we go to the grocery store. And those guys spent another $100 on cases of beer. They even got a case of Natty Lights, and then that's where we're going to go hang out with Guy and Louie. You know, the bones are laid out. They're coming together, and believe me, they were trouble to get cleaned. I had to go by here with a razor blade and clean them up. Man, it's Sunday. Got a lot of shit to do. You can see. Here's the work. This is going to be an outhouse made of chicken bones. And I'm going to make these 2 little figures out of chicken bones. And of him showing me a snake table. I had to get in there and really make his face. Doesn't look nothing like him, of course. It look like a doughboy with that on. The problem with these chemicals, I'm using nothing but stains. I'm not even using oil paints anymore. So when you hang out in this room here, you start getting a little buzz. So I'm getting kind of burned out. There's just a Louis piece. And I started this other thing. I was drunk one night and started this one picture right here. And here's I guess that's Todd. Still working. Talk about the trip over to Bristol. Go visit the Wing Doctor. A little burned out and making all this stuff. A big canister of get a bucket and add tissue to it and bind these things all up. And these heads here, I'm gonna have like 3 little heads. And I'm out. You know, one of the good things I found is I went to Michael's and you can get these shadow boxes, and that's what these little cardboard pieces are. They're the backs of a shadow box, and they were selling them like $5 a piece for these shadow boxes. So I thought, man, the amount of work just to put it. Went back to Guy and Louie's place. I mean, he had they bought shitloads of pork, you know.
Yeah, you got that like that. Man, you and Carson, bless your heart. You ought to saw me and him. No, it was me and Cody, wasn't it? Because Carson was out here. That's been you and the oldest one of mine. Yeah. The big one, yeah. You said just sew that black tape up to me, and I said no.
And sit there and watch them all talk. And I brought sketch pads and I come up with some ideas for some pictures. And I did actually have it all written down in this booklet right here. I took a lot of sketches and tried to thin them down, and you know, I started just coming up with ideas for stuff. And mainly it was a fun night, you know, because I started drinking off 4 o'clock. You know, just started powering it on, you know. And I'm pretty sure by about 6 or 7 after dinner, Chuck and Todd were blown out, man. They were like, had enough. They're out of. I don't even think Eric drank that much. To be honest with you, I started to, but Louis shows up later on about 5 o'clock, and he stumbles in, and he didn't drink much of anything. I don't think. And I think one of the guys kept on saying that it was such a fucked up day because we were more fucked up than he was, you know. And but Lou, I talked to him, and he rambled on about things, but it was fun, you know. And then this girl shows up. Where was it? That's one of the pieces I was gonna make. Chuck, I think it's Chuck. Chuck smoking a cigarette. You know, based on some photographs, and there was one of a guy. I'm working on it. This is not. There was that girl that showed up, and she was like 20 or early 20s. So me and Chuck and Todd. I think Todd's the one I like because he's perv. He's funny as shit. I have a major bromance going on with Todd. He's my kind of guy. And so this girl shows up, and he's like, we're all checking her out, you know, and she's just I don't know who she is, but the look on her, you know, it's like, it was funny that one of the funny moments of that whole thing was listening to, when Eric was like talking to me about these guys, and he's like, so, you know, this is what happens over here. We all sit around, drink beer, and talk shit, and I said, hey man, you don't worry about it. I mean, a lot of gay shock comedy. That's what, you know. Back at the house in San Marcos, you know, around like shit since the beginning of time. Well, we would sit around a barbecue pit at night, bunch of guys, bunch of geek guys that don't ever have any serious girlfriends, drinking beer, and making fun of each other constantly. You know, the sarcasm just gets, especially in a house like what we had. You know, it's just like it just gets worse and worse and worse, you know. Eventually guys grow out of it, you know, but some don't. And I was one of the guys that didn't really necessarily grow out of it. So hanging out around a burn barrel or a barbecue pit, you know, late at night, drinking beer, listening to old hard rock, it's not that foreign to me, basically. But it's funny watching these guys. It's like the same scenario over in this other part of the country, you know. And you had a guy, and you know, guy's house looks like kind of like a bachelor guy would be, you know, sort of laid out, real basic. So that's where I live, you know. You had your woodshed. He had this awesome looking little woodshed I took some photographs of, which kind of spurred the whole shed paintings, you know, back in there. Trivia. And then they had this dog. It was like a beagle dog, real old, and they started just chasing, you know, Fred around, trying to have sex with it constantly, you know. And every time Fred would stop, this dog would come up on it, and his jaw would be bouncing up and down. His legs were giving out. You know, couldn't walk without it collapsing.
Benadryl.
You do. What do you think? Hey, boy.
I don't practice
Boy, Santeria.
Ain't got no crystal ball. But it was determined to try to mount and have sex with Fred. Fred just got to the point, he was just trying to avoid the dog, like hiding or something, so the dog wouldn't get on top of him to try to like mount or do something to him. It was the most funniest fucking thing, you know. That's what, like, this one here is a photo of it was a Todd. I can't get damn fucking names mixed up. I'm gonna say Todd's Louis was Guy's son, and he had this dog. It was like a black dog. They would try to hump his leg. And, you know, most people try to push a dog off, you know. But if you tried to push this dog off, it'd show you its teeth. It'd be like, I'm going to do this. Just leave me alone. You know, it was just that's another thing. It's like, you know, we didn't have dogs at our house. We had a goat. And we had a couple of chickens, and we'd make fun of them, you know. But, man, dog humor is fucking funny as shit. Watching dogs try to mount each other and play these little dominance games. Chickens are the same way. They're just... So you're drinking beer and stuff, you can talk about all these antics that they get into, especially if you get two or three crazy dogs together that are they're playing with each other and throwing each other around and trying to, you know, hump each other, you know. It's just instant fun, instant humor activity, you know. I mean, that's what I mean, you know. That's what me and Justin did out in the West Texas. You know, one time we were hanging out around a burn barrel and we pushed this piece of garbage in there and all these ants were like on the garbage and we were sitting there watching them. Watch this garbage burn, you know, and these ants trying to get away from it. And I looked at Justin, I said, you know, Justin, it don't get any better than this. Watching these ants try to get out of being burned, you know, and he goes, yep. It was like real late at night on a Friday, like here we are, two middle-aged guys out in the middle of this desert, looking at a burn barrel, you know. It's just the way it is. But then, you know, Eric Maximus, we went to his basement storage place. He has some really neat stuff in there. And he showed me around what he was up to and some of the things he made. And he actually gave me that. There's a box over there. A box he wanted me to convert over or do something with it. So I'm going to let it get roughed up some, and then I'm going to paint it up, take it. But also, you know, one of the things about going to Bristol, man, I love Bristol. That place, that reminds me of the way, yeah, I used to remember the South. See, my folks and stuff, they're from South Carolina. A place around Woodruff and Lawrence area. So I used to go there all the time back when I was a kid. So that's how I always remember the old South. It's kind of like the way Bristol would be. It hadn't gotten flipped up or commercialized. It's just sort of still retained the old. The suburbanites hadn't walked in there and tried to clean up everything, you know. And pieces. I'm gonna post these up. So this is gonna be the kind of work that I'm probably gonna make all this stuff and I'm gonna put it in a briefcase and just let it go for 5 years, and then I'm gonna break it back out and reminisce like I'm right here. Reminisce about what's all going to happen here. You know, it's like a journal. It's like you write up a weird, crazy ass journal, then you just bury it, and then you come back to it and you wonder like, what the fuck was I thinking? What was I saying? There's like this, like almost like schizophrenic nostalgia to your own past, you know, creative endeavors. You know, especially when you have stuff like when you have all these artifacts like these bones. You know, you knew that the part of this wing was in Chuck's mouth. You know, and he was sucking on his little. Maybe this was like a ranch one or what Chipotle ranch. They had something like barbecue or Baja chicken, you know.